It's your man, OG Duffy, and we are back with a versus video. It's been a very long time since I've said that. Oh yes, indeed. Now, for those of you that know and those that don't know maybe, because it's been a long while since I've done one of these, in these videos we look back at an old classic arcade game and then we take a look at the home conversions of the time on the various computer systems and the various consoles it was released on. Some good, some very bad indeed. But that's all the fun of looking back into this and delving back into it. The game we're looking at this week is a classic by Williams, and it was very controversial for the time. It's that there, Narc. Okay, yes, you're hunting down drug dealers and doing all sorts of nastiness, but we'll come to that real soon. So we'll look at the arcade version first, as always, and then we will look at the home computer versions first. Firstly, we're going to look at the 16-bit systems, namely the Atari ST and the Commodore Amiga. Then my favourites, them 8-bit systems from back in the day, the Commodore 64, the humble little ZX Spectrum, yes, that little powerhouse of a computer that gave me so many great memories, and the Amstrad CPC, and only one console version this time out, and that is the Nintendo NES, or the Toaster as you may or may not know it. So, Narc by Williams, 1988. Let's jump on in. Let's grab a beer. I'm going to eat it for this one. Before we crack on and look at the arcade version first, as always, this week's member who has a beer dedicated to them is none other than my man Andy Appleyard. Let's dive into the beer fridge. Let's see what bottle I'm finding. Oh, nice big bottles this week. And you, Andy Appleyard, are having a King's Fisher. A very nice beer, very popular here in the UK. Very popular in particular in Indian restaurants, yes. Anyway, get this poured up. Andy, thank you very much for your support of the channel, and to all the other channel members, thank you for your support. I appreciate you all greatly. Hope you're enjoying the extra content I'm putting out, and for all those that are non-supporters, thank you for liking, subscribing and commenting on these videos, because that's still supporting me, so thank you all very much. But Andy in particular, oh, this Kingfisher is for you. 4.5%, nice little lager, designed to go with curries, but hey ho, this game's hot enough, methinks. Hey. It's cold, it's wet, it's beer. What's not to love? Narc, let's go. Narc by Williams, 1988. 88 was quite a good game for arcade games, so let's see how standout this was for the time. It was quite controversial for the time, because it was considered quite sort of bloodthirsty and a bit ultra-violent, you know. Anyway, you have guns, side-scrolling, you're shooting drug dealers. Eventually you have to make it through to take out Mr. Big. You shoot the drug dealers, they drop money. Lots of it, wads of it actually. Bullets, ammo, all sorts. What else have we got? You can arrest them like I did there when you get the busted logo. They drop white powder and packets of pills. I don't know what that could be. Anyway, I lost a life there. The other buttons, you've got to jump, and there's this here which fires a rocket. So if you go past, touch them, you arrest them like that. So he's been busted. I'm not playing particularly well because I'm chatting whilst I do it. But as you can see graphically, it's not ugly. Oh, use my rockets there. Going in this doorway here takes us to the underground. Yeah, the idea behind it was to sort of don't use drugs, kids, and all that sort of stuff. Just say no. Who remembers all that? A couple of bombs there. We'll have some of them. Very nice. Pick that white powder up because hey, don't leave that lying about. Yeah, so it's sort of an anti-drugs game. But yeah. But was it? I'll be honest, as an impressionable youngster back then, I'd look at this and think to myself, they're dropping wads of money. Maybe drug dealing ain't so bad. I'm joking. But you can see my point, they do drop an awful lot of money. So it's probably not giving the correct message, really. Anyway, we'll continue. We'll get a level done anyway. Back out the door. Let's fire a few more rockets. I enjoy using the rockets. They're good fun. I think as well it's considered ultra-violent because of the sort of the blood splats and the rest of it. I mean, if you look at old video games now, sort of look at the body parts, look at the limbs and stuff. Yeah, so it's considered very controversial for that. But hey, I'm sure it helped to sell a few games. So there we go, that's the end of the level. And that gives you a quick rundown. Very similar to Smash TV there in that sort of style. And it gives you your bonuses for the amount of busts and stuff you got. We've got some guy now who looks a bit like Shawn Michaels from the old WWF wrestling days. So yeah, there he is. Shawn Michaels. What did he throw at me? Yeah, so I'm sure you get the idea. I mean, graphically, it's quite pretty. The characters are pretty good. Then I don't think they're like motion video characters, but they look to be sort of very similar sort of characteristics to an FMV, doesn't it? I'm not sure why he's that colour, but hey ho. So anyway, that concludes the look at the arcade version of Narc. All in all, not a bad little game, good little all-rounder really. Yeah, a bit repetitive, but how well did this convert to the system? Let's go take a look at the Commodore Amiga version first.
First thing to mention are the controls on this. To launch the rockets you have to hold down the fire button, which is a real pain, and that just makes the controls pretty clunky. The conversion was done by Ocean, looks decent, resembles the arcade, game and sound effects are not too bad. But like I say, the controls were just a bit clunky, and those dogs, mate, they were just so annoying in this game. Overall though, fairly average for the Amiga. This version here is the ST, the Atari ST, and as you come to expect, it looks very similar to the Amiga. Sounds looks the same, even had that same clunky having to hold down the fire trigger to get the rocket launcher to go. But overall, I felt it played ever so slightly than the Amiga version, but apart from that, there's nothing between them really. We now come to the first of the 8-bit systems we're looking at. This is the Commodore 64. Now this is how you do an arcade conversion. Graphically works well, although there's no sound effect, the banging soundtrack more than makes up for that. The C64 does it again, oh that SID chip, yes indeed. Music and graphics aside, this scrolls nicely, plays really well, great conversion. Amstrad CPC here, do not adjust your speakers. Seriously, there is nothing wrong with your sound, but there is something very wrong with this. There was zero sound in this version at all. Nothing, nada, nothing. The colour and the graphics, they looked okay, but the slow play and the awful game mechanics make this simply unplayable. On the front of it, it showed a little bit of promise, but then it fell off a cliff. The same programmer that did that version we just looked at, the Amstrad version, did this as well. But as you can see, the graphics, the gameplay, much improved on the Specky version. And I think the monochrome sharp graphics work well in this. There's some basic sound effects too. So, which one is going to win on the verdicts? We'll soon find out. It runs at a good pace and it plays nicely. A decent port, I felt. This is the NES port and it was done by Rare. Now with this being a Nintendo release, obviously has the family ethos, so all drug references were dropped from the game, but strangely they kept the blood from certain shots on and they deemed that acceptable. Oh well, on the whole, not a bad conversion. Not the greatest, not the worst NES game you'll ever play. Anyway, let's go to the verdicts. Let's see which one I pick out as my winner.
That there was Narc, but how did I rate them and which one comes out on top? Oof. Keep hydrated. Finish the rest of that Kingfisher. Oh yes, Andy Appleyard. Happy days. Should have had a cider really, Appleyard, shouldn't I? Hey? Anyway, Narc, as a game, the arcade game of it, I quite enjoyed. I thought it was pretty decent. The graphics and everything else were not too bad at all. Don't get me wrong, 1988 was a great year for arcade games, namely Double Dragon. Enough said about that. We all know how I feel about Double Dragon. Anyway, We'll look at first the Amiga and the ST. Both were very, very similar, which they quite often are. Control-wise, played pretty ropey, really, to be honest. I mean, don't get me wrong, looked all right. You could tell it was Narc, couldn't you? Of course you could. The controls were not the best. But out of the two, I'm giving it to the Atari ST simply because it played a little bit faster than the Commodore Amiga, and that is it, simple as. Neither version was that great, really, to be absolutely honest, so yeah, let's move on to them 8-bits. This is the section I really like. The humble 8-bit computer days. Oh yes, those of a certain age will remember the school playground battles we had. What computer you got? Oh, Spectrum's better than Commodore. No, it's not. 64's, but yeah, you know the score if you were there. Now, anyway, yeah, we used to get so excited when you see the magazine, adverts and stuff for these games and what have you. Yes! And you knew deep down, you knew you were getting nowhere near an arcade experience with a lot of the conversions, but you were just excited that they were coming out. I'm sure many of you still remember them sort of memories, yeah. Oh, what a buzz them days were. Anyway, we digress, back to Narc. In third position, the worst of the three, it's going to the Amstrad CPC. It was slow. I just didn't like the look of it at all. I think it looked bad. It was really slow. It's unplayable, actually. It was so slow. Now, normally, I'm quite a fan of the CPC, especially in respect of its colour palette and the graphics it can produce at times, but not on this one, I'm afraid. Amstrad, you really let the side down on this one. What were the programmers thinking there? Second position. It goes to the humble ZX Spectrum. Oh yes, I'm looking over there. There's got one mounted on the wall. That's my original from back in the day. I loved the Specky, and that monochrome graphic style that the Spectrum produces, I think it done it really, really well on this game. It was the same developers that done the Amstrad version, so quite why they're completely different, I don't know. Maybe they rushed the Amstrad version out. Maybe they knew they'd get more sales than the Specky. I really don't know. But I like that monochrome graphic, and I think it looked really sharp. It looked decent. It played at a decent speed, and all in all, I think it was quite impressive, especially when you take into account the limitations of such a lovely little ZX Spectrum machine. Which of course means the winner on the 8-bit systems is the one, the only, the Commodore 64. But you probably already knew that. It played nicely, it was really smooth scrolling, the graphics were decent, the playability was good, and to be absolutely honest, if I had a choice, I'd probably play the Commodore 64 version over the Amiga and the ST, for sure. It was out of the home conversions we've looked at, it's easily the best version. Especially with the 16 and 8-bit computers. I know we've got that Nintendo one to give you my verdict on soon, but you know, let's not jump ahead of ourselves. Let's stay with the C64. And of course, the SID chip comes into its own again. And I think back in the day, that is really what put the Commodore 64 head and shoulders above the other computer systems, namely that sound chip, the SID chip that we've so fondly come to love and know. Who remembers the Ocean loading software music? I mean, I remember I had a copy of Cobra by Ocean, and the amount of times I would just play it just for the loading music. Oh, thing of beauty. It really was. Anyway, so well done, Commodore 64. You take it on the 8-bits, and rightly so. Finally, it was the Nintendo NES, or the grey toaster, as we come to so fondly think of it. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't a bad conversion. I mean, Nintendo stripped the bits out of it because obviously, being a good family-orientated business and all, they couldn't have such drug references going on in their video games. Oh no, and of course they really drew back on the blood and the violence angle. Yes, typical Nintendo for the time. All in all though, to be absolutely fair with the NES version, it wasn't great. And it wasn't bad. It was mediocre. It was playable. You knew you were playing Narc. I hope you enjoyed this versus video, something a bit different. We haven't done one of these for a good while now, and I know a lot of you keep asking, oh gee, can we have a versus video please? Well, here you go. I've done one for you. Would you like to see more people? And over to you guys, each and every one of you. I want to hear your comments and your thoughts about Narc. Do you remember the arcade game from back in the day? Did you own it on any of the computer systems we've looked at today? And if so, were you happy with it or were you disappointed? Do you agree with my verdict? Do you disagree? Oh gee, you got it wrong. Or oh gee, you were spot on. Let me know, but be nice, of course. Anyway, thank you to each and every one of you. And if you've enjoyed this versus video, do drop in the comments and let me know future games you'd like to see me do with versus videos on. And if you'd like to see more of these versus videos. And if these versus videos are new to you, because you've only just sort of, you know, been on the channel the last few months and not seen one of these before, do go and check out the playlist. I'll link it in the video description. Because I've done a load of these over the years. So do go and check them out. Anyway. Channel members, channel viewers, channel subscribers, channel commentators, channel likers, channel sharers. This beer is for each and every one of you, particularly you, Andy Appleyard. Thanks for everything, guys, girls. See you all on the next one. Let me have your comments.